super tiny, but we're not staying this because of here, we're staying this because of this. Ta-da! Yep, there you go. That just happened. Doodly-doo.
Look at that view. I am standing in the middle of this old-timey bridge here. It probably was used for the railroad a long time ago. And this is the river flowing right into this gorgeous view in front of me here. And this is called Kinbasket Lake. We got invited here by the Kinbasket Lake Resort that has a campground and these little cabins all throughout this little area. This is going to be a pretty exciting video here to show you guys all the things you can do when you come explore the lake. Kinbasket Lake was kind of created in the 1970s when they made a dam north of Revelstoke. There's actually two dams north of Revelstoke, one that creates Revelstoke Lake, and we've shown you guys that in a video that we did last spring. But if you keep going north, you're gonna find the Mica Dam, and that one blocks the whole valley here, and it kind of creates two reaches. The southern one is called the Columbia Reach, and then the northern one is called the Canoe Reach. The Canoe Reach goes all the way up to Valemont, and the Columbia Reach, which is basically right in front of me here, actually leads all the way into Golden. So it's a huge lake. I'm guessing it's spanning around 200 kilometers from one end all the way down to the other. And this river that's in behind me here, this actually flows all the way deep into Glacier National Park. As you can hear coming in behind me there, the train's coming, and there's a train line that follows all the way through. So there's a lot of glacier fed water that feeds right through here and goes right into the lake. There's probably hundreds of different creeks and waterfalls that flow into Kinbasket Lake, and being on the very south portion of the lake, it makes for watercrafting and paddleboarding and these things to be a little bit safer because we're really far away from the actual dam. So on this video, we're going to be showing you the little cabin that we're staying tonight and all the facilities around, because there's actually a campground here, and if you have like a tent or even an RV, you can stay here as well. You don't even have to rent a cabin. And then we're gonna go explore the area, and we're gonna hop on some paddle boards, and we're gonna go to explore up the river to see what else we can find there. So this is gonna be a gorgeous 48 hours. So let's go for a walk. I'll show you guys the campground, and then we're gonna head out on the lake. Well, I'm sitting at the end of the dock here, and you can see right in behind me there, that's the actual lodge of the Kinbasket Lake Resort. When you come to the campground and you check in, you can stop right there, and you can actually utilize these gorgeous docks here. They have way more because I found some piled up at the back of the campground. Depending on how many people they have, you might not need a huge elaborate dock, but this is like a nice T. Right now there's these 2 boats here and there's 2 other ones over there, and there's still room for like 3, 4 more. So if you have your own boat and you want to come fishing, this is a great spot. Put your boat in the water and leave it here for as long as you're staying here. We're making a video that's just about paddleboarding, so check my channel, that'll be coming out soon. But Thurso Surf really helped us out for this video, giving us some paddle boards for us to try. We've been trying them all summer long. They're pretty amazing, and we got the chance to put our paddle boards into the water and head up the river there. We got to see some pretty interesting water phenomenon. All of the water that's back there is flowing into the lake, but the lake is being blocked by the Mica Dam. The water was kind of brown, and once it got to the lake here, there was so much water pushing back that it was holding everything up. So I think that the water in the Kinbasket Lake kind of sways a little bit like a tide back and forth. When it flows upwards, it kind of blocks the creeks from flowing in. This morning, the brown water that was being blocked by the lake is now gone, but now you can see there's hundreds of pieces of wood from everywhere as they kind of got pushed back from the creeks, and it's flowing all over the place. When we went up into the creek, it was pretty cool because we got to a spot where the water was completely calm, even though it's a big river that's flowing inwards because the lake is stopping it from flowing through. So we kept paddleboarding up. We didn't go very far, maybe a kilometer, and eventually we hit narrowing in the creek, and then you can see where it kind of twists and turns, and there's actually rapids coming down there, so we couldn't really go any further. That brown water that was coming in, that's all coming from Glacier National Park. It follows the Trans-Canada Highway and goes down for like a long ways. So all those glaciers in Glacier National Park on the east side of the ridge, it gets to this river and it flows all the way out to here. So that brown water must have been 10 degrees colder. Surprising thing about Kinbasket Lake is that we're in August now. The water is relatively warm considering for the size of the lake. I'm just used to mountain lakes that are super cold. We even went back around this little bay here and explored some more around the lake. It's a super gorgeous area. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to Thurso Surf for sponsoring us in this video. Go check out their website. This is actually a Canadian company. They're based out of Ontario. They were sick and tired of finding these paddle boards that didn't supply what you wanted for and looking for better quality products. They have like great padding on the top. Sometimes you get tired and you want to be able to brace yourselves on your knees like this to be able to paddle. Having good padding on the board is pretty important. There was even a little camera mount at the front that I thought was kind of neat, super handy for me that records content. They also have mesh at the front and the back. You can bring anything that you want and you can shove that inside of the mesh things. Something that's really neat too with the Thurso Surfs is that if you get their full package, they will send you this cute little black box that fits right into your big bag with your paddleboard, and you can inflate and deflate your paddleboard. It's battery powered. We've tried it and we got about 3 inflates on one battery charge. You don't have to worry about having your vehicle. You just grab your whole thing, roll it to the lake, roll out your paddleboard, plug it in, and press 15 PSI and hit start, and it does everything automatically. Before you start putting your air into the paddleboard, you have to make sure the valve is actually closed, because if the valve's open, you're gonna waste 10 minutes bringing it to 15 PSI, and when you disconnect it, the air is gonna come out, but it's too late, because in the matter of like 1 second, you could have easily lost most of the air pressure out of your paddleboard. I really liked how compact everything was. Even the paddles, they come out in 3 pieces, so one chunk is about that far, so everything really fits in like a bag that's like 1 meter by 1.5 meters. I have a little Jeep, and I was able to put 2 of them into the back and stack them one over top of each other, and it was only taking about half my trunk, and I can still put luggage and stuff over top of it, which was kind of nice. So now we're going to go show you some more clips that we took exploring the lake and the river, and then we're going to go and show you the cabin that we got to stay in last night. Doesn't this feel familiar? The tradition continues from what Parks Canada started with these red chairs all over the place. And this is the boat launch. It's actually right in behind me. Park your vehicle, drop your watercraft into the lake, and then off you go. People staying at the Kinbasket Lake Resort will also come and swim here. Kind of like a little bit of a bay in behind there. It's not too deep. The water on the side where the docks are, it's quite deep there. I was only a few meters away from shore and I shoved my paddle into the water and my entire arm, and I was not able to touch the bottom. As we were walking around the campsite, kind of exploring, there's two loops that are kind of separated. One that's on the other side of the road, and they have their own washroom there. And every site has power, and they also have a water hookup. No hot water at the cabins. They don't have any showers. But this little spot where they have a couple toilets in there, and then there's 2 showers on the side for men's and 2 showers on the other side for women. Everything is kind of done at the shower house. And if you're tenting, then you would use the shower house to also go to the washroom. But since we stayed in a cabin, we had our own little toilet. Only thing that we were missing in our little cabin that we knew ahead of time and we brought was just basic bedding. So we just brought our own sheets and our own little pillows. We were camping in other spots too, so we brought our sleeping bags and we just opened it up and used that as a blanket. But you can bring your own blankets here as well. Something neat that I noticed is that there really wasn't any mosquitoes here. Even late last night, we were by the campfire. I noticed there's these little tiny flies that are on you, but they're like really small, but there are no mosquitoes all night long, which is kind of rare, especially when you're beside a big lake like this. So now that I talked to you about the campground, let's go inside the little cabin and show you where we got to stay last night.
1, 2, 3, go!
We just had a good night's sleep here in cabin number 6, and now I get to wake up to this here. All the doors lead out on this little back deck. You can see the lake. There's even a little fire pit with a couple of chairs, and the inside of each cabin is a little bit different. Some of them have like a room and a bathroom, some of them just have a bathroom, but they all have a flush toilet and a bed and a little kitchenette where they have these old school things where there's like a stove and a fridge and a sink all in one. The new owner is actually in the process of renovating a lot of these things. He only purchased the resort last year. There's also a bigger cabin at the very far back that doesn't have a view of the lake, but it has a view of the river coming in. It has its own little private driveway, and then you open the door and you walk in. There's this gorgeous living room and kitchen, and then there's a bedroom on the main floor as well. 2 huge windows facing out. Upstairs, there's a deck and a gorgeous bedroom. Definitely the highlight of the resort is definitely that top bedroom. That little cabin also has a back porch and its own little private fire pit at the back. So this is kind of like a regular campground in a way, where you'll have the same sort of rules, like your quiet time is like 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. They do allow you to park your vehicle on site, but if you have more than one vehicle, you have to park it at the bigger parking lot by the road. They have recycling and garbage all lined up near the lobby, and by the lobby there's also a little sewer thing that you can use as well, a sandy dump, and you can buy firewood here, but they ask you to keep the fire small. All of the sites have power except for 5-6 of them that they're kind of only used for tents that often don't need it. 15-amp breakers, and there's obviously no lifeguard on duty, so you kind of have to keep an eye on your children. The water is super deep because it's a reservoir, and also keep in mind of your neighbors and the people that are enjoying the resort with you. Nobody wants to be camping beside people that make noise late at night, that kind of stuff. It's all being self-aware of all the noise you're making and treat your neighbors with respect like you would do in your own house. Well, if you guys don't mind now, we're just gonna have a good coffee and watch the rest of the sunset. You keep driving up that little road past the Kinbasket Lake Resort at the 6.7 kilometer mark. There's actually a branch that goes off into the mountains. You can actually go up that all the way to a lookout. But if you don't go to that branch out and you keep going straight, it's between the 8 and 9 kilometer mark, you'll find a huge kind of divot in the road where there's a little creek. I always love finding waterfalls on a hot summer day, because then you get some natural air conditioning right in your face. Wow, look at this little lookout that we were told about, and we were able to easily find it, and we went all the way past the bridge and we kept going along the Forest Street trunk road. You'll see a little yellow sign that says branch 6.7 because you're 6.7 kilometers away from the main road, and that leads you right up to here. Once you reach this, there's no point going any further. The road gets progressively worse. This is an old cut block where they had logging trucks coming in here and they cut most of the trees just on this side, but you're left with a gorgeous lookout. I was gonna say the entire Kinbasket Lake, but that'd be a lie, because I see maybe 20-30 kilometers, and I know that this extends out for 5, 6, 7 times that. You can see how wide the river gets at the far back, and those big mountains at the back, at the bottom of that, that's where the town of Golden is. Definitely a gorgeous lookout, and there's even a range I can see in front of me there, another awesome view. And you'll even notice some of the classic fireweeds that kind of grow when there's been fires. So these brush piles that they've burnt after they were done their forestry production, and now you're left with these awesome lookouts filled with fireweed. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video of me showing you all the things you can expect when you come and check out the Kinbasket Lake Resort. And I hope that this encourages you to come out and explore the outdoors and come and explore the Canadian Rockies, because it's definitely worth it. So this, and behind me here, is the Kinbasket Lake. And I'm Eric Tremblay, and these are my adventures. Peace out, everyone.